actually surprisingly kind of scary in a way, because we knew you could do this, but I think it was still surprising to see it happen.
Good. That's great.
She said you're scary.
Well, maybe the guy that came in later, the one that showed up in your apartment, was a little scary to me. But
yes.
there is something to be said for that. What is it that you looked for to kind of develop who he was going to be? Because he's not really creepy quirky, really.
I hope not. No, I mean, I think I hope he's not creepy. But I think he is. He doesn't worry too much because his condition doesn't often allow him to. He doesn't worry about what other people think as much. He is his passions and his fears and what makes him angry. He wears it all on his sleeve and works hard to not. I mean, works hard to cover that up because as I think you say in one of the later episodes, he's embarrassed by his illness. I think it's particularly because, as a neuroscientist, he figures he's got the brain. The brain he knows. So for a man that knows everything about the brain to not be in control of his own is his battle. You know?
But how do you prep for a role like this? Did you have to do a lot of research? Did you talk to people? I mean, it seems like a very complex and complicated part to kind of wrap your head around.
Yeah, I mean, I totally dove in, and luckily Ken and Mike, who wrote it, had done a lot of research on their own, so it wasn't like I was coming in with nothing. But Mike Sussman and I sat down with Ellen Sachs, who is a law professor at USC, who wrote a book called The Center Cannot Hold. And in some ways, she was probably the one I based the character on more than anyone, because she was a brilliant law student at Oxford and at Yale, who was writing these unbelievable papers during the week, and then on weekends, literally committing herself to a sanitarium. She was the voices in her head were so bad, and she's written this book that really captures the way a person living with schizophrenia, what it feels like, what it sounds like, and her descriptions of her days in the early 70s were so helpful. So we sat down with her, and I actually got to ask her questions about it, which was so fantastic, and made it very, very palpable.
And can we talk a little bit about the relationship between your characters? Because in the pilot, you don't really want him to know the extent to which he is giving into this disease in a way, and yet I feel like you must have some inkling. I mean, you're an FBI agent. Your job is to kind of set a behavior. So going forward, how does your relationship change based on what you may or may not learn?
I think it changes. Our relationship changes as his condition changes, you know, in some ways, but that's an episode thing. I think she feels very fiercely protective over him and respects him deeply. And
I don't think anyone, very few people know his exact diagnosis, but she was aware, probably more than a lot of other students, that he wasn't just that crazy, funny, odd professor, that he actually has something deeper going on. I think she was my favorite student.
Is there a chance you might confide in her at some point?
There's a chance. There's a chance she might have figured it out on her own. But yeah, I think it's he's fooling himself a little bit that this person that he does share so much with doesn't know more than he does.
Yeah, but I think she thinks it's not as trying to him on a daily basis, or that it's not, grown to the extent that it has.
How does the working relationship developing, considering she obviously takes a lot of risks, as we've seen in the pilot, and he can't handle a lot of social stimuli, so how are they balancing out as episodes go on?
I don't think you've had any chance to jump off buildings since the pilot. That was a good one. But I think we try to keep that. We try to keep that separate. I try to make sure that there's, once in a while we're shooting something and I'll think, wait a minute, this is still not his comfort zone. It's, even though he's been solving cases, I never want him to get too used to being the interrogator or being an action star, because he's not. And that's what keeps the relationship different. And
yeah, because it's the opposite of sort of the world that you would choose to live in, which is sort of a more like, exchange of ideas world of academia, whereas the FBI is more like, procedure, paper work, protocol kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's probably not your element, but you're so good at it.
Well, that's what I love about the show is that to me it feels a little bit like a throwback to the days of a mystery. Rather, it's not a procedural the way a CSI or something else is. It's not about the minutia. It's about the crime solving, the actual puzzle solving, and that's where he's good. He's not just that he knows what he's doing neuroscientifically, but that he's very good at solving puzzles, and so was she, and the two of us together. So it takes us out of the kind of hardcore cop show element into just almost like a Columbo or an Agatha Christie sometimes.
We're not hardcore.
How much time do you guys, because since you're almost done, do you guys actually spend in a police department or in, because she's FBI, we didn't even see her office, right?
I think the pilot.
I don't know if that was her office or someone, or like...
We never got to the desk, so we're sort of at FBI headquarters when we're sort of walking through setting up the case in the beginning. But yeah, but it's brief for that part.
Yeah, we spend more time at the FBI here, which I think you saw today.
Was it instant between you guys? Because the chemistry really works, and it seems to, from the pilot on. I was lucky enough to be part of the casting process, and which is always for an actor so eye-opening to see what other actors bring and don't bring. And saw a number of good actresses, but there was nobody that brought a sense of humor. And it's just what I told you. There was a bit of quirk. There was a bit of something. And I kept thinking of Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs.
She's hilarious in that.
Not hilarious. I said quirk, but there was something about Jodie Foster in that movie where your first thought is, wow, she's in the FBI. She's going to stand up to all these guys, but she does. Scene after scene, she shows them, and that's what you brought to the thing. This was besides the sense of humor, was I believed that was a Goliath that she was going to slay.
Did you guys? You talked about actually meeting with someone who had similar problems like this. But have you known people like this in your life that were acquaintances or somebody you come in contact with?
You talked about it, were you? Or was it somebody else? Somebody the other day was talking about their brother.
I went, my second cousin. But
I have not personally known anyone that was diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic illness, but I had an amazing happy accident this summer. I was in Vancouver, where my family spends our summers, and I was in the cereal aisle of the grocery store, and a woman came up to me, an English woman, said, "Oh, I'm a big fan, I love this, I love that, what are you doing now?" And I said, I'm doing this show. "What do you play?" I said, "I'm a neuroscience professor." She said, "Oh, like me." Dr. Jane Roskams, one of the heads of neuroscience at University of British Columbia. We became instant friends. She took me to the so I had this whole tour of the neuroscience department at the university there. Plus, her son is a major neuroscience student, like third year, writing his. And through her, I met several other professors with different areas of expertise. So while she is not someone that focuses on schizophrenia, I met someone who did. And from her, I had this whole other academic approach to it, as opposed to meeting Ellen Sachs, who had a more. So I had a lot of different perspectives, which was pretty amazing.
Speaking of the fact that I know you, I feel like one of the most amazing things about this is from the second you come up, well, it starts with you, but from the second he's on the screen, it's like you forget completely there was ever somebody else you were known for. And I'm wondering if that was part of your decision in the attraction, because this is really the antithesis. He's not, instead of being wound up, and I was wondering if that was intentional or if it's just a happy accident. I mean, because it really is, this feels like so different that people actually are not going to think of him, and that's pretty phenomenal.
That was a bit in the design, but it was not that I was looking. I was just looking for. I wasn't actively searching for another gay role. Let's put it that way. Please let there be another one. I can't top Will. Will's a thing, and I was really wanting to push other buttons and try things. And before sitcom, I was doing drama for a long time. So this is kind of for some people, this will be, I didn't know. But for other people, they might remember that that's what I did before. So but I wanted to find as many avenues that I had not been down, and this guy had about 5 that I just hadn't had a chance to go.
What about the, you do support a lot of causes. I don't know if you do or not, Rachel, but, it seems to me that this would be a natural fit. I know you're involved with breast cancer, and is it multiple myeloma, one of the things?
Yes, I was been related to that, yes.
Yeah, so, first of all, how do you make a decision on what you'll get yourself involved with? Why? And how does this particular mental illness fit into that?
I don't have the answer to that question yet because there's only so much time. But for the moment I read the part, I did think that I know that a number of the charities I got involved with 12 years ago were a natural fit with women's rights, and I think with this one I would love to find something where for the same thing, where by virtue of the issues that the show raises and hopefully educates, and that's what I love about this is that I mean every episode we're learning things, terms that it's just like amazing. So if the show can educate a little bit, particularly about an area that is, I don't want to say taboo, but there's a lot of fear around it, and this is about a high-functioning person with schizophrenia, and there's lots of them, and it would be nice to spread that word a little bit and help causes that can do that.
When the pilot starts, Pierce is giving a lecture about reality, and I was wondering what your philosophy about reality is. Have you thought about that ever since shooting that first episode?
Interesting.
Think of a good answer.
Because he makes the point that there's not really a difference between the I think what happens in your brain when you're dreaming and when it's reality. So have you thought about that any further, or just kind of?
I know for myself, you should have an answer to this question too. I don't. I know for myself that my life seems pretty unreal most of the time because of the profession I've chosen and the luck I've had. So I can certainly relate to the concept of trying to separate reality from non-reality. But that's all I got at the moment.
I don't know. I think I have a pretty tenuous relationship with reality. I think that the difference between, like you said, maybe dreams and reality is choice to an extent. Choice of your perception.
I would say, has this changed your perception or the way you see things, being on a show that's so much about that? And that's not necessarily the reality versus, but just the way you kind of take things in. No.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, I guess, there were, like, if you had to pick an avenue, like, this show has changed the way it's changed the way that I perceive Eric. I've seen him mostly as well. So it's changed that. It's changed the way I feel about donuts. I eat donuts every day now. It's in my house. Like, it's just, I guess it's a little bit general, but I could go on.
I'm wondering, we don't really get to know your character in the pilot. Like, we get little peeks, but it's really all about teasing us with him and who he is and what's going on. So, what's this woman all about? Like,
she's someone who's got something to prove. She definitely likes to think outside the box. Is a serious risk taker, almost to her own detriment. Is really ready to go out on a limb, both for her own advancement and to get behind his theories. And hates crime. Just really, I don't know.
No indifference there. We'll learn in the next episode that she's getting out of a big relationship.
True.
So there's all of that. I think that should be
Okay.
sad. That's spoiled
You guys
alert. So.
Yeah.
So do you guys hook up?
well, whenever
In
there's
the
the
show?
male in the show or out of the show, we probably get more press out of the.
Wait, I'll introduce him just a little here.
I should not have said
Not till January anyway. I think it's like the best relationships on television. I think there is that sort of push me pull you of she was my student, and as you know, and I would not talk about it at length, but my girlfriend is less real than some of my girlfriends that I've had, and so I think there is something very real there, and it's but it has as much to do with her empathy and how much she understands me, and so I think we'll see how that. There's nothing to replace time, and the time we spend over the next 10 episodes definitely changes what we saw in the pilot.
Yeah. And will we find out what happened to your girlfriend eventually?
I don't think she ever existed.
What's that?
I don't think she ever existed.
Let's just say that the relationship with Natalie will continue to evolve in ways that I'm very excited about.
Is there any case that your characters get maybe a little too personally invested in? Anything that hits close to home, either with a suspect who has mental illness, or does your character's mental illness get him into trouble at some point where he becomes a suspect?
You're in Ted's head.
I'm a figment
and
of imagination.
you're right. A very tentative yes to both those. Yes, it's definitely. I can only think of maybe one episode that where it's the crime and the mystery has not much to do with this situation. They always have something to do with my expertise. It's the only reason I'm called in. Otherwise, she wouldn't need my help. But some of them are a lot more personal than others, for sure.
And then he starts bringing me crimes.
That is true. There's a couple of episodes now.
Do you have a favorite episode that you guys have shot so far?
I'm loving the ones we're doing.
Yeah, we're shooting the final two right now that I think are that Ken's directing that I think are fantastic and actually are a two-part. But the two we just did with Chris Messiano are both terrific. So I think it's.
So that'd be 6 and 7.
So how weird is it for you guys to be here? We've seen one episode, but it hasn't hit air. It's not going to hit air for a long time.
First people.
And you literally have to wait now
Yeah.
to find out if you're going to get a second season, right? I mean, how weird is that for you to be in this place now?
Super weird.
You don't mean Silmar, you mean it's just weird. I keep thinking of it like a movie. You're making a movie. It's not going to come out for a year and a half, and you walk away, and you wait till they call you. So I keep thinking of it on that level, like a 10-part miniseries. But I'm excited. The last series I did for TNT, they started in January, and Michael had said to me, I think we can platform this as strongly as possible if we do it in the summer. So it's been a wait. I mean, we shot the pilot in December, but I'm excited for the wait. I'm excited that this thing will get as many eyeballs.
I'm not excited for the wait.
I know you're not.
That's a long wait.
Yeah.
How long are your days? How long are you shooting days?
We've been doing 13, 14-hour days.
You liking that?
It's pretty normal, I think.
We're only doing 9 plus the pilot, so it's not like, I think people, I think when David Duchovny and Julian were doing X-Files in Vancouver, then they were doing 24 episodes or something.
Seriously.
They must have been fried.
Yeah.
Right.
We still have a lot of crimes during the day, too, which is nice.
Yes, we don't have a lot of night crimes.
It's generally not raining.
We don't solve night crimes.
Is that part of the appeal of TNT as well? Is that we have these shorter seasons, and they also seem to be very fond of you. So.
I adore their fondness for me. I have had nothing but a great experience with them. I really haven't. I just love. I love doing the last series. I produced something for produced a pilot for them years ago that I had a good experience on. I think Michael's runs a great ship, and I like the programs they make. I was really excited that Franklin bashed it so well, and that Falling Skies was so different. That there was a nice mix there. So.
Is there any big difference? Obviously you know what it's like to be on a network, like a regular primetime network, and then to be on basic cable. Is it more homey, or are there advantages?
The network. The network thing. My network experience was, going on 5-6 years ago when it ended. But I find with TNT that there's a trust. There's a sense of, go make your show, and their notes are few and far between and good, and so I think there's more freedom. And I think cable is what people are watching. They really are. It's maybe not in the numbers that network will continue to always get, but in what people are talking about online and what people are talking about at work. I mean, they're talking about what's on Showtime and TNT and FX or whatever. That's what I hear. I know 20 million people are watching 2.5 Men. I don't know who they are. But I know they're out there.
Well, considering, when we write this up, we can't talk about this. What are you telling people you're doing? Like, when your friends ask, who's this new character, what do you tell them? Because you can't say one of the key, or do you secretly tell them?
You're totally saying your friends. I know you are.
Oh, I think I can.
Are we not allowed to?
No, I think
say
no.
that?
I have been.
You're not?
Oh, you're not. Yes.
Oh, not now, but you
Well, not
can
yet.
in January.
Oh,
Half the fun of the pilot is figuring out.
Yes. Although I guess we'll have to discuss. I'm not sure. Certainly, the key, as you know now, having seen it, that Natalie and the guy that works for the drug company, those we have to protect. But in terms of him being diagnosed with schizophrenia, I don't think that's a big secret.
No.
Well, like our book material says, a neuroscientist and professor recruited to help the federal government crack difficult cases.
And it does say that he's socially inept, but it doesn't say why. Not the word inept, but he's socially challenged or socially...
Yeah, eccentric neuroscience.
Eccentric.
Eccentric?
We all know something. We all
But it
know
doesn't say that.
I don't. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know that. I won't be able to do press from January to June and not say the word schizophrenia. So I don't think it's a top secret thing, and I think that it's important because we are representing it. I think quite well. He's not. I think when I've talked to people who are advocates for people with symptoms of schizophrenia, their issues are, is everybody going to be violent? Is everybody who is schizophrenic? Of course, he's not violent. And he's very high functioning.
He's not confused with the United States of Terror, multiple personality aspect.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Schizophrenia is one of the most misunderstood. Do you feel a sense of responsibility because it is an often misunderstood and misrepresented?
Absolutely, I do. And I think, particularly in this case, I mean, it is a plot point. He is not on his meds.
Right.
And that is, I think, part of his hubris. It's because he is a neuroscience professor, because he feels, physician, heal thyself. I can handle this. He has the wiki. He has his routines. He has this belief that if anybody can do it without meds, he can. But that is in no way does the show promote that schizophrenic should not be medication.
Right.
In fact, several times throughout the season, it will say that he recognizes deep inside that he needs help.
Let me interject really quickly about 5 more minutes.
Do you see the impact? I mean, you're talking about the impact this could make, and I do believe it will have a positive impact for people, just as Monk did for people with obsessive compulsive. But you did with your other series too, and you've got to feel good. Can you reflect back on that and now look to where we are, where Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been repealed, and we're working toward gay marriage here? Is there, do you feel like you have an impact on that?
We were always careful to say that we're a comedy show and we're not political, and any effect we've had, I'm really grateful for, but I don't take credit for. I think. I was just thinking back to when the press release went out in 1998 for Will and Grace. The word gay wasn't in it.
Really?
No, it was a show about friendship, and very quickly we realized, well, what are we supposed to talk about? Nobody was blogging, to my knowledge, back then. I'll tell you about those days later. We did television by hand. But I did take great pride when the letters started to come in from 16-year-old boys saying, I finally came out to my mother because she loves your show or something. It was great. It was great, and I always felt a sense of responsibility about it, and it's very strange to go to your producer and say, when am I going to get to kiss a man? Come on! They're never going to take us seriously unless I get to kiss a man.
So what season did that happen? It happened late.
No, it was not that late. I married Tay Diggs in season 7, but I don't know, a second season or something. We were always careful about it because it was network, and because with this, I feel we're taking some great strides and risks that we would not necessarily get to do on network, and I do feel that any advocates, anybody with an advocacy group for schizophrenics will be really happy with the balance that we find. It's not soft pedal, but it shows a lot of sides of the issue.
Can you talk about Louis Key and Pierce's relationship?
You got to talk about Louis. We love ourselves some
We
RJ.
love RJ. The character of Max Lewicky is played by RJ Smith, who is an incredible young actor who brings so much to this role. The relationship between himself and Eric's character is one of I can't go into the full backstory.
No,
but he's his
we'll learn
teacher's
more. Yeah,
assistant.
we'll learn more about why him
Yeah.
and why he handles things the way he does.
But he handles Pierce very well, and that's why
It's
he
kind of
has the judging
it's kind of a tough love thing, and we just again, it was the same sort of thing when RJ walked in. It was just sort of his own. He brought a different energy, and us. There's a sense of humor. He doesn't really get to show it off in the pilot, but he's a very funny guy, and is a bit of an antagonistic thing, almost like a mother-son thing. I mean, I literally had episodes where I'm like, Lewicky! I'm like a child, and which can be risky when you're asking the audience to be sympathetic to a guy who can be a pain in the ass and can be childish, but
Here's Boss.
Hmm?
People are bosses like that.
True.
Now, does he live with you? Because in the pilot, he was.
Yes,
in the house.
I think so. Yes, he lives.
Upstairs.
We've never built an upstairs to my house, so I don't know.
He's somewhere up there.
He does have his own issues too, though. I mean, he's walking around with a lightsaber at one point, right? I mean,
Well, he was playing a video game.
oh,
You'll help her with that. Yes, he was playing a Star Wars video game.
Now,
But
a minute ago, we mentioned that for us, some of the fun of the pilot was kind of figuring out the mystery, not only of the case, but also of who's real and who's not. Is that something you guys are really playing with? Are we going to see characters pop in that end up just being parts of your own psyche?
I will say that his condition will always, in every episode, be a part of how things get solved. It's the part of his brain that might otherwise need meds. He keeps busy by puzzles, and the cases are like puzzles, and so the way his brain works will manifest itself in a lot of different.
So we'll see more guest
different
stars come
ways.
in that are really just parts of you.
Yes.
Okay.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any exciting?
Yeah, I know you got excited. It'd be good.
Any exciting guest stars this season?
Yes, those
Can
have
we
been
talk?
printed.
Can
We can talk about
Can we talk about exciting guest stars?
it.
Yeah,
Staying in the
we've
trains.
announced a few of the.
Carrie Ellis came in and did a fantastic job. Neil McDonough came in. Who else came in?
Tom Sizemore.
Tom Sizemore was in.
Edward Furlong.
Eddie Furlong, yeah.
Yeah, he was here a couple days ago.
Which one got you all excited?
Everybody. I mean, not to sound big. I just mean that I know that this is something we can talk about because it was in the trades. So that means it's public knowledge. So
Yes,
you didn't have to skirt around.
but are they real?
maybe not.
It seems like this show has a real possibility of going dark. I mean, how dark can you go before you kind of lose the serve? I mean, right now it's kind of a playful tone.
I think it's a great question, and I think that's literally what we're playing with right now. I love to see how far we can push it, and I think right now with this finale, we're exploring some of the darker sides. I think we have moments of lightness that are fun, but for the most part, the show is more serious.
But we still have a crime to solve every week.
Yeah.
So it really is anchored in that, mostly a procedural novel.
But I think to go back to kind of your question about reality and non-reality, I've really come to love the title of the show because it is about how one perceives
And particularly when you're solving a crime and when we're asking, what this whole justice system is based on innocence and guilt and how we perceive someone guilty before they're innocent, before they're proven it because of whatever it is, perception is such a key part of our everyday. And so the way he sees things and the way the audience will see things through, literally, Ken shot a shot yesterday where it was through my glasses, at the side of my head, through my glasses, because he wanted the piece of paper that we're looking at or something to be seen literally through my vision. And so that, the way I see things and the way I perceive things, and which is sometimes very dark, does come up. And I think that does skew the show a certain way, which I think is challenging to do.
Well, Kate Moretti was impressive besides her accent dinner.
Oh yeah, we had an excellent guest star who I can't say if is coming back, but played by Jamie Bamber from lovely,
Yes.
lovely guy. So he's
So,
wonderful.
how does it feel for you to, maybe you don't know that you were the first one and they just kept trying to find someone better and they couldn't?
I appreciate that very, very much.
Oh,
and meanwhile, I was just like, "They're gonna call? Should I go outside or should I just?" Okay.
Let's make it clear. They looked at lots of people. When I came on board, I saw 3 or 4.
This is the last one, folks. They have to take them
I
back.
fought hard for it and I appreciate it.
Rachel,
So thank you.
what's the one attribute that you admire the most about Kate?
She's really fearless, and from what people think about her to the way she's going to tackle a problem. And not to brag, but I'm afraid of everything, so it's really different for me, and I